Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Rewind with Ro. I'm your host, Ro Carter, and my amazing co-host, Rob Smith. How are you, my brother?
I'm great.
Oh,
Living
sorry.
life like it's golden.
I have to move this guitar because every time it echoes, like right next to me, it's very weird. Hi.
You just wanted to show us a guitar because of the.
No, I didn't do anything for you, baby. I didn't do anything. I just, that's what I gotta do.
Senator's guitar. I see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. It's been a while since we've been out on these streets. A lot of things have been going on. How you been, Rob?
I've been good. Just hustling, grinding, auditioning. Work is crazy. Just all the things. And the puppy is now 6 months old, which is a lot. It's like having a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
That's why I asked you. I was like, "Are you sure you want it?" Well, when your friends said, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna get you a dog and a puppy of all things," and I was like, "Are you sure you want to do that all over again?"
Are you sure?
Because we ain't no spring chickens now. It's a different game.
But I try to take her to the dog park every Saturday and Sunday. Let her get a little socialization in. It's been a good time, but it's a lot of boxer energy. It's a lot of boxer.
Yeah. Those are the worst dogs too. The ones like, let's go. Yeah. And you're like, bro, I want to chill. Nah, man, I'll mess your whole house up when you come back. It's one of those things. All right, good. Anything else new? How's LA? What?
So what about you, Ro?
I might be moving again.
Yeah, you mentioned that. You just up and down the coast constantly.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be West Coast now. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Here out this way.
No, San Diego.
I mean, that's not far.
Sorry,
bro, even this guitar.
It was echoing still, so now it's completely away. Sorry, everyone. Yeah, so either San Diego or New York. I'll find out soon. But
well, if you're in San Diego, you're super close. Then we can start doing stuff here.
Awesome. What he means is you fit the schedule instead of a 3-hour time difference. That's what he means, ladies and gentlemen. That's what he means. He doesn't mean do stuff together.
No, I do. I mean, like street stuff. You can start doing red carpets. Ro's gonna be out here in the mix. Boom, boom, boom.
Again, I don't know. I'm in a world that I just wake up in the morning and I find out like what everything's gonna happen.
Where you gonna live?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, so I'll find out next week. I was told, but
I don't live in that good life.
So in the meantime, yeah, I'm just gonna keep on living a good life. I got 2 abs, so got my hair. We still good, player. We still good. Teeth look good.
2 abs and a full head of hair. That's all you can ask for.
Listen, let me tell you something. At this age, any more than 2 abs, I'd be acting a fool. I don't need that. Keeps you humble. Keeps you humble, Rob. I'm telling you, you got to find things in life that keep you humble.
Oh God.
Anyway, move right along. We are doing an amazing movie. Oh my God, I've been talking about this movie for 2 weeks because we were supposed to do a show last week. But I wanted to see it again. I recommend everybody see it in IMAX, but we're doing the movie Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler. I actually got the pleasure of interviewing him when he did Black Panther 2. He is hood as can be. He's from Oakland, so he's got that. That's just who he is, which I kind of respect because I was like, is it really people giving him millions of dollars to do stuff?
He is real California.
But he's smart. He's a smart, intelligent young brother who really gets it. And this movie had everything that I think me as a 90s kid, that like the vampire movies we had back then, from like Dusk Till Dawn till what was the other one? Oh, the big one, with Keith Sutherland. No, vampire. Wow, it was a bit too. Oh, Lost Boys. Come on, man, what are we doing here?
Got it.
Anyway,
Ro, my brain is full. My brain is full.
All right. I'm gonna be doing a lot of heavy lifting today.
Yeah.
Also, even a Vampire in Brooklyn. It had that comedy too, so it was a little bit of everything. I didn't know what I was gonna see when I went into this film. I was just reading up on it and said see it in IMAX. Originally, when the first trailer came out, I didn't know what it was about. I was like, oh, a 1930s movie. It's probably gonna be some lynching stuff and the KKK and all that other stuff. I'm like, I don't want another one of these movies. And then they let more trailers out later. And I was like, oh, there's a vampire movie? I was like, okay, so let's see it. So I'm just gonna give everybody a rundown of what the movie is. We're not gonna give any spoilers.
I feel like everybody's seen it at this point.
All right. We're spoiling tonight. That's what we're doing. We're spoiling stuff. But anyway, this movie takes place in 1939 in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Two young men, they're actually twin brothers, played by Michael B. Jordan. Did a great job, by the way. He really like. We'll get into that, but really did a great job. I saw a different Michael B. Jordan. Like he's moving up. We'll see what Rob says about that. Anyway, he plays two twin brothers that were World War I vets and got a job working in Chicago for the man back then. Who was the gangster back then? Who was the mob guy in Chicago back in the day? I can't think right now. We're both like our brains are going. Anyway, he was working for a mob boss in Chicago, and then they made a little bit of money and made enough to come back to Mississippi. And they're going to start their own juke joint. So this is all in one day. It's kind of like Training Day. Like this all happens in one day. And starting the old juke joint, they reached out to their cousin, whose name is sorry, I have my notes. What is the kid's name? The guitar boy, Preacher Boy. So they come to pick up their cousin, Preacher Boy, who's known for his guitar, and we find out later that boy can sing too. And so they pick him up because he's going to be part of the music, along with another old cat, Delta Slim, played by Delroy Lindo. They're going around gathering up all their old crew so that they can perform tonight and have security and everything. And in doing so, they're prepping for the night. We do see something go down before the prep where the two young men buy the property. And the old white guy that sells them the land, it's kind of suspicious. Like, what do you guys use this for? So you don't really know what's going to go on. But we found out later in the movie. But again, the whole point is they're going to start a party tonight, and they want this to be their juke joint going further. So they'll have basically entertainment for the people in the community. We also learn about the different types of what's the word I'm looking for? Types of currency they use, the actual dollar versus these coins that were made in different colored dollars. That's just for the people in the community. So that's how they kind of work each other. It reminds me when I went to Cuba. There was like different dollars in different areas of Cuba, and then there was real dollars. I was like, what's this money? They're like, yeah, that's like 5 cents. I'm like, this man just gave me 20 of these. And I was like, yeah, you got 20, you got it. So anyway, you learn about that. And then we get introduced into the vampire Remick. And he is going to change things upside down. And that's how the movie goes. Boom. Rob, what did you think about the movie when you first, did you know anything more than just what the previews did? Or did you start Googling, or did you hear about this through the grapevine in Hollywood?
Oh, well, of course, because we posted content about it on blackfilm.com, I was, privy to what the film was going to be about, kind of just the premise of it. I was very excited about it going into it. Of course, I'm a massive fan of everything Ryan Coogler has done to this point. I think he's a phenomenal filmmaker, phenomenal writer. So his storytelling capabilities are, unmatched. So I was very, very excited going into it. And I'm a person who loves like supernatural anything. So I love vampire stuff. I love zombie stuff. I don't like gory, cut 'em up slasher content, but I can do supernatural, like fantasy stuff. That kind of stuff I can roll with. So the vampire angle I thought was cool. And I had seen a couple of like teaser trailers that featured some content with the vampire elements in it. So yeah, I was very excited going into it. I definitely wanted to see it in IMAX as well. And, I was just extremely excited about the momentum of energy that was kind of building around the film, because the art of going to the movies has kind of been lost, and I could feel that energy coming back for this movie. So that was also exciting for me.
Okay. I'm a moviegoer. I've always been a moviegoer. There's the convenience of having it in your own home, but there's certain movies that just need to be seen on the big screen,
100%. I think we come from a different generation. We're a different breed, but I think a lot of the newer generation, they're not moviegoers. They don't like to go to the movies. They like to digest short form content. So going to sit at a movie for 2 or 3 hours to them seems, I think, tedious. So I feel like movie theaters are on a decline still, but this movie, I feel like gives hope. Gives hope.
Yeah. Tom Cruise, helped everybody come back when he did Top Gun 2, and now you see Ryan Coogler really change it up. It'd be interesting to see what Marvel does in the box office this week, because their new release comes out. So if Ryan Coogler's movie can still hold up, that's huge. That's saying a lot. Also, shout outs to him for signing his own kind of contract. This has been going on too. A lot of people have been a little disappointed. Some people have been happy for the brother, but a lot of people are like, is this going to change the way things work in terms of you having control, basically control of your own masters in a way? You know, you own your own stuff, which is great, which I think is every artist.
Yeah, he talked about that. He's not the first director to get that deal. He's not the last director that's going
to. Well, when you're black, that's when they're like, you know,
exactly. So people,
I can't believe we're doing this. This is crazy.
So, you know, I think it's just absurd in their mind for someone's young and black to get that deal. But
I think to ask for it, really, right? I think the audacity you would ask.
But you know what? He makes all of these box office hits. He should have the audacity to, because he's earned the right to. He has the Creed franchises. He has the Black Panther franchises. He has Fruitvale Station. The man has like so much under his belt. Like he can ask for whatever he wants to. And I think they should line up to give him what he wants.
Did you see this in IMAX?
I did. I absolutely
did. So that's the one thing I recommend everybody. If you're going to see it in IMAX. I wanted to see it again. I was going to see it out of IMAX just to see the difference for me visually and get a perspective of it. But I really, really enjoyed this film. I've been telling everybody about it. There's so much history in this movie that I was looking up stuff and Googling. So a couple things, and I want you to point out some things that you just didn't know, or maybe like you thought was very interesting. There's a lot of music in this, the history of music, how we're all intertwined in each other, and history of just how music makes people come together. Also, a big thing that I didn't know, that there was a huge Asian community in Mississippi back in the day, that they were literally the middle ground for whites and blacks, because they were able to serve the whites and also able to serve the blacks. There's actually a documentary that everybody should check out that's really crazy, and they talk about it. And you don't really want to like the Asian community, because they didn't really care about us. They just sent this as they were like, hey, we're gonna get money either way. That's just how it works. Now I know not to do too much with them because I don't want to alienate the other people. So it was very interesting to see in the Deep South. But the Asian people in this movie are actually friends of the brothers, and so they are preparing where it comes to signs and food and stuff, everything for the juke joint to get ready tonight. Also, we see the relationships of Smoke and Stack and their women that they left when they went to Chicago. Now they're back in town, and they're like, yo, what's going on? So shout out to Wunmi Mosaku. She plays Annie, the love interest of Smoke. And Stack, him and Haley Steinfeld, who plays Mary in the movie, they had a love interest. And that's a weirder relationship because she's mixed, but she looks more on the whiter side. So that was a big thing back then. People that could pass as white. And so you didn't want to mingle with that, because that means you're gone. You're lynched. You're dead. And he knew better than that and wanted to have the distance. She was like, I love you and I care for you. I want this to work. And so you see that kind of game going back and forth with them. And then you're introduced to other characters. Before we go any further, though, is there any points you wanted to add in terms of things you saw in the film that really jumped out to you, that in terms of like history and just stuff like that?
No, nothing that I would say jumped out. I did like that it was like post-slavery. They were sharecroppers. They weren't slaves. But I do like that he said it in this time period. One, because again, we're in such a contentious time right now, like with our country and with the elimination of history, specifically that of Black people. I think it's great to make content like this that's digestible for a younger audience, so they can start to have these conversations, like you're saying, about things that may have happened to our ancestors or the experiences that they went through growing up in like a post-slavery South. So I really like the fact that he said it in this period. And I also loved how he intertwined a lot of the different relationships, like you said, like the experience of Asian Americans, the experience of somebody who is biracial, but like that one drop rule was a real thing.
Yeah.
And she had to really live under the radar, even though she was, far in her lineage was a Black person, but it was still there. So she understood too that in that world she would still be considered Black. So she flew under that radar very well. So it was like interesting to see all those dynamics that he played on. There were a lot, but I'll let you get into the next step. But to me, there was a lot of character development. It took a very long time. That's the only gripe I had. It took like an hour to meet all the characters, but I loved it because he spent a lot of time really developing a relationship with the audience and with each character. But there were so many characters that we had like a backstory for. It took a very, very long time to get to the action.
I didn't mind that because I think that made this when some of them did turn to vampires, you're like, oh my God, like, oh man, no, you know, you felt that when you're like, no, not him, not them, not him, not her. You know, it's like you really felt it on the screen, like, ah, damn, they got you too, brother.
Yeah.
You know, so let me know what scene really touched you. I'll tell you my personal scene. I didn't think I teared up in this movie. So Delroy is talking to Preacher Boy, and he's also got Cornbread in the car, and they're driving, and he's telling the story of how his father kind of died, and you know how they were hustling, they got out, and then they got caught up by some cops for doing nothing. But back in the day, it didn't matter. You're black and driving, you get in trouble. So we played for the cops. He says he's telling the story. We played for the cops, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna take you on tour around the city." And they did the city tour and made all this money, and they finally let them go. And then they had their money. And then he's like, he had his money on him, right? And he was showing it. And then one of the conductors on the train said he stole the money, and they lynched him and took his money, and he earned it. But the way Delroy tells the story, like you feel it, and the music hits right at a point, and they're driving, and you see everybody's face, and then they just play this song together. And shout out to this young brother, man, Miles Caton. He is who plays Preacher Boy. When you hear when they get in the juke joint and it starts playing, he gets to perform, and he sings, and I was like, oh shit! I was blown away by his performance, his voice. I've never he looks like a young kid, and this big raspy voice comes out of him. So that was amazing. But that scene in the car, that was one of my favorite scenes. Like it was so well done because I visually saw that scene. Like, you know, I visually saw everything he said, every word, and I felt that. I was like, damn, man, we can't get a break. Like we do everything the right way, and then still get screwed at the end, man. And anybody's there. It was so crazy how much the white word passed. So if a white person said something, that was it. You know, that was testament. That's what it was. It was your word against them. Didn't matter. I did not do that. You know, Emmett Till back in the day, you know, things like that. It's just like, wow. And so I always ask myself, remember we joke around in some movies we watch, like, could I live back then and do slavery? I mean, after seeing this, I don't think I could do it. I don't think, you know, I don't know, man, because it's just that one, like, it's already crazy. We have to still be on it. Growing up in the 90s and early 90s, late 80s, you had to have your head to swivel a little bit. But back then, you had to there was no days off, no seconds off, right? Nah. Like, if you just like, I'm tired because I was picking cotton all day, or like, leave me alone. You're like, oh, what'd you say? You know, like, you couldn't have an off day. That's crazy to me. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. So I would say the moment to me that really stood out that I was like, okay. But I feel like this was the moment for a lot of people was the dance sequence. I think he did a really stellar job of like intertwining this idea of music being able to cross the boundaries of time. So we see his ancestors and we see the future, which was very interesting to see, like a Native American dancer from the past or African dancers from the past, and then see a girl twerking in the club with the DJ scratching on the turntables. But somehow Ryan Coogler was able to make that work and make it beautiful at the same time. So it was really, to me, like a lesson in the idea that you can do anything on film and make it work and make it beautiful as long as you like, as long as the artistry of it is done well. I don't know how they did that, but that paint in the room was so beautifully done. It was almost magical. And
I was so nervous because I was like, oh, this could ruin the film.
It kind of made everybody in the theater silent for that.
Yeah. And because I was afraid you're gonna lose certain viewers that won't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's deep, and now just like, oh, what was this? There's all these now, how are you gonna have hip hop in the 30s? It doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. You know, I was afraid of that, But at this point, I don't care. I mean, the numbers are doing right for them, so people do get it. But otherwise, you're just seeing this as a vampire movie. There was some hip hop scene in the middle. I don't get it. The vampires everywhere, rah rah rah. But there's a lot of deep messages, and so you can see it for two ways, right? You can see it as just a vampire movie, or you can see it for the historic film that it is. You know, because it really opens up some doors and conversations of like what the vampire actually means. You know, there's a scene in the end when Remick and one of the brothers is turned. And then he's saying, hey, I need you. And then Remick is saying, hey, wouldn't you like a better life? No one's going to judge you on this side, you know? But there's a part of you that is selling your soul for that, right? The bigger meaning of selling your soul is that you can still live the life you want, like being successful, whatever, is being rich, you know, that pathway, is that's still the right way, the conscious way. And so there was some very deep moments throughout there. Also the church again, religions, Wunami Masaku, who plays Annie, she is hoodoo practitioner, which is a form of African American folk religion with roots in Yoruba tradition. So she is also a healer too. And so you see that they lost their son together, and you see that she's healing him. I've always had this for you. She made them this necklace that has like all these little rocks in their form to kind of guide him at all times. And so she actually finds out later, like, there are vampires and what can kill them or at least hurt them or harm them. So it's nice to have a healer. I mean, what are the chances of that? That you had in your crew. But that was a great scene too. The fight scene of like, hey, now we got to prepare. There's another thing with Lin Jean Lu. She plays Gracie Chow. She loses her husband. He gets turned. And there's a scene that she was like, we didn't come here. She talks to her husband earlier. We're not here for them. And that struck a chord with me, being like, you know, we're just here for business. And it reminded me during Black Lives Matter, when the Asian community, man, I didn't see any of them have any of those signs or placards in their windows saying, hey, Black Lives Matter. I'm like, you know how much money African Americans give Asian stores and whether it be dry cleaners, grocery stores, Chinese food? Are you kidding me? Like in the hood and stuff? Are you kidding me? The liquor stores, the hair stores. Shout out to the sisters that give so much money to the hair stores that they buy all the fake hair and stuff in there. I was like, are you kidding me? I can't get one sign. So no, see, I'm this still strikes a chord with me to this day, and I'll never forget that. When I asked people, because I'm only in New York at the time, but I was like, ask me, it's like, have you seen any signs in stores? Like, nah, man, I ain't seen one in any. I was like, that's crazy. And that reminded me of this. Is like, it's business at the end of the day. We're not trying to pick sides, brother. We're trying to make money. That's it. And we stick with our own. And so that was a really deep thing. I don't think a lot of people may have gotten that. Just seeing her, oh no, she wants to get out of there because she's afraid, what's going on. But no, there's a deeper message there. So I really love, there were so many deeper messages with the characters and with certain scenes that if you had to really open up your mind to that, because you were kind of all over the place, when the music starts. And they do such a great job with it. I would love the soundtrack for this movie. The music is amazing. It has you in so many levels. You're just flowing. So really well done. Really well done. Anything you want to add there?
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think Wunmi was the highlight of the film to me. She gave the most stellar performance, in my opinion. I thought everything was impeccable. Her character development was phenomenal, down to her accent. I think she nailed the accent to the T. Like, there was no margin of error in her accent. I feel like it was consistent throughout the entire film, which I can't say about every person in the movie, but I think she did. She just was such a standout to me in this film. And you mentioned it earlier, like, she was the person who kind of led the charge of people being aware of what was going on and kind of paying attention and saying, wait a minute, something is kind of fishy about this. So we should all slow down and take a step back from that door. So I really loved the energy she brought to the screen. It was very powerful. And like you said, Miles Kenton, his voice, even his just speaking voice is captivating because it's so deep and raspy, like you said, but then to hear him sing too, it's just beautiful. So I thought it was a great introduction to him as an actor. I'm sure he'll do much more. I'm sure Ryan Coogler will use him beyond this, and I'm sure we'll see more of him. But again, I think Wunmi was the star of this. She really shined to me. Absolutely. I thought her performance was just so beautiful. But I think her performance has been beautiful in everything since we fell in love with her in Lovecraft Country.
That's my girl, Lovecraft. That's my girl.
I think she's such a phenomenal actress, and I'm excited to see what comes from her too.
You know what I love about this is that Ryan Coogler, he could have done something different, but I like that he stayed to the tradition of what vampires are. You know, like the rules of vampires. Yes. Like he didn't have to, I was like, oh, okay, what are you gonna do here? Are you gonna change it up and say, you know, F everybody else that had their rules? And I love that he still stuck to the rules of vampires, right? So the garlic can still hurt them. The cross, getting stakes to the heart, things like that, sunlight, all that stuff. Permission to come inside, like that. When I was like, oh wow, that's a huge one, because he didn't have to stick to those guidelines, right? It's your film. I don't have to stick to other, because we haven't had a vampire movie like this before. So he didn't have to do that. So I love that he respected what has been going on for, like, you know, eons of how vampires are supposed to be respected. You know, there's certain things, rules, the unwritten laws that you have to still stick by. And I was like, okay, all right, now we're gonna rock and roll and see what's going on. I missed a huge thing. So Remy is running away. The vampire is running away from these Native Americans. Now there were like 3 other films in this movie.
I was literally about to bring that up.
Right. I'm like I want to see that prequel of, like, we just lost. That's what. If my only gripe is, what happened? These Native Americans are following.
Really, Native American storyline would have been utilized somewhere else in the movie, because they were so powerful, and their presence was so big. Yeah. We saw them for 30 seconds, and I was like, I really wish it would have continued on.
Like, what was the point? Honestly, I was like, what was the point of that? Unless you have something. No, seriously, unless you have something planned. But I was like, that could be a whole nother storyline, right?
Which I assume is going to happen. I'm just assuming there's going to be more films in this, because all of these films have multiple parts. So I'm hoping there's going to be more, because there's so many elements that could be expanded upon. Yeah, there was a lot of stories. Like you can even follow them, the brothers, when they go to Chicago and their hustles. Like there's so many stories that you can develop. But that's my only disappointment in the beginning. When you see the Native Americans, they're hunting him down. I'm like, oh, hunting him. I'm like, you know, where did he come from originally? What's going on? You know, you find out he's an Irish guy later. He gets the banjo and starts playing. That shit was crazy. When yo, you want to scare some black folks? Have some white folks roll up with you with a banjo and playing that, dancing and singing in unison. That was so creepy. I was like, that was that. You know how every horror film, back in the day, would have that song or that sound that was just creepy. That kind of the 2 little twins in the hallway, and what's it? Yeah, that was like they nailed it. That song was so creepy. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not letting them in. No, no way. They're like, look at this. Let us sing. You can sing out there. Out there. There you go. In the parking lot. And then you had to learn also the powers of the vampires too, right? He did a really cool job when they turned. There was a really cool thing he did with their eyes and stuff. I was like, oh man, that was really cool. It looked like some robot stuff. It was like it was very futuristic. Those shots of pans, everything was beautifully done. I would never want to go to Mississippi ever again in my life, just for so many reasons. But this is another reminder not to go to Mississippi. Anyway, other characters in here. We have Jane Lawson, who plays Perline. I can't see right now. I'm blind as hell. Who plays Perline. Yeah, you get older people, you need your glasses. And then we also meet Cornbread. Delroy Lindo, I said a little bit, he plays Delta Slim. So again, earlier, as I said, he's picking up everybody to come perform tonight at the Juke Joint. And so, as Rob mentioned earlier, there's a lot of background of find out their storyline of, you know, why they're picking them up and what's going on and who are they and what they mean to the twins. And so, you know, that was people they know and trust that actually can put on a good show. Slim he was a great musician. So they know, hey, if we get him, people will come to see him. And so we want to get him. Our cousin, he hasn't made it yet, but at least we know he can play in the background. And then later on, if they let him shine, we'll see what happens. And then the young lady, she performs, Jane Lawson, plays Perline. And her and Preacher Boy have a little thing going on. That was crazy, but she's married. And I don't trust anybody after that. That was crazy. So be careful out of these streets, people. Don't trust anybody. You said Wanami Masaki, who played Annie, gave a really great performance. She did. So my surprising performance was Haley Steinfeld.
holy cow! I was shocked. I didn't even know that was her. That's how good I think her performance was. She got nasty too. That was some freaky stuff. She said some nasty stuff, and she did some nasty stuff. And I don't know what's going on circulating right now in media. Is her fiance? I don't know. I mean, I can't. I don't know. You can't spit in my mouth. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Why not?
No, I'm just saying. I'm not. I can't. I don't know if I can marry you after that. I don't know.
Why?
Because on screen, it was on this big screen. It wasn't like in private.
In his mouth?
Yeah, that was crazy.
It's a movie. She was a vampire spitting in somebody's mouth. Come on. It wasn't like she spit in his mouth for real.
No one knows. No one knows, Rob. No one knows. You think it was a little drool from, like they just poured in some water?
Yeah, that wasn't real. She didn't hock a loogie and have it drip down slow into his mouth. That was a lot. That didn't happen for real.
You know for sure, Rob?
I'm gonna say I'm 99%.
I'm just saying.
Jordan was like, "Come on now, everybody, just spit in my mouth. Get 7 good takes of this, because they didn't get it the first shot. They had to do it.
We only got one shot. If I'm Michael B. Jordan, we got one shot. If it makes it, we get it. If not, it's out of the movie. But anyway, I thought she did an amazing job. Do you not like her accent?
No, I thought her accent. No, that's not the accent I'm referring to. Listen, I am refraining from saying too many things that can be construed as negative, because this film has so much fanfare, which I am very happy about, and I really do hope it's sold out again all weekend this weekend. So I think the film is doing something incredible and amazing. So I even feel bad, giving a true opinion of critique to this film. But yes. She was great. That's not the accent that I'm referring to. There was an accent that was all over the place the entire movie, and I didn't know where they were from, but that's neither here nor there.
I gotta see it again.
It's very noticeable. I'm like, are you?
I was watching a film. No one's performance to me, I was like, oh, that's awful. It wasn't like watching Blood Diamond and hearing Leonardo DiCaprio do an African accent. It wasn't. It wasn't
like, are you from Texas now? Like, are you from the North? Like, are you from Mississippi?
I know you're talking.
I was like, I don't know where, because your accent keeps changing. But
okay, all right.
That's all.
Anyway, damn. Shout out to Michael B. Jordan. My argument only with him sometimes is that he always plays the angry black man, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. Creed, same angry. Fruitvale Stage, same. It's just like always that angry black man. And so Black Panther, angry, but he was a little funny though. He had a little edge. But what up, Auntie? That was hilarious. I was crying. Anyway. So this, I really think he stepped out of that character now. Like, that. This is for me personal. This is me personal.
Thought he was just angry.
No. I thought I saw even when.
I love it. Listen, no, I'm not saying it was a bad. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying it was still angry.
You're never gonna work again. When the.
So I told you I don't want to say anything. I can't say anything.
When one of the brothers turns into a vampire. I'm not going to give that away of who turns, but when one of the brothers turned, the vampire version of him was a good job. I thought that was out of his comfort zone, that he normally doesn't do that. Like, it was very playful. It was, to me, it was acting chops for me. The brothers were very similar, because he's always angry. So they're angry in a softer version, but his character that cared about Annie, to have that angry person but still have love and loss.
He was a little bit more emotionally intelligent and aware.
Yeah.
He was slightly more mature. So
that's what I'm saying. So you saw a difference of the twins, right? Whereas like he wasn't the same guy. That's what I mean.
It was a subtle difference, and I think it was intentionally subtle because they are twins and they've spent so much time together. But one of them was just a little bit more level-headed than the other. The other is a little bit more reactionary. So I think he did do a good job of giving that balance to the two characters so that we knew who was who, even though they were wearing different colors and whatever. But yeah, I think that subtlety in that choice was good, was very good.
I was being tough tonight.
I'm not. I just said I liked it.
I know. What you mean? You've been a little tough tonight, Rob. All right. Shout out to Jack O'Connell, who plays Rummick, the head vampire. He did a great job. I mean, I've seen him in a bunch of films before, but this is like really his breakout performance. Even from the music perspective, you know, he's just jamming, but he's creepy, but he's killing at the same time. He's probably one of the best bad like villains you've seen in a while, like on film. Like he's really, because you want to enjoy him for a minute, and you're like, no, I don't like this guy at all. And then he plays a little song. He has this smile on his face, this angelic smile of innocence, and you're like, no, you're not innocent. You are a creepy man, and you just
creepy, sir.
Yes. And so he was great on screen. I almost thought they lost me again when they do the dance number. And I was like, oh, this movie could go really bad right now. We're going to do a dance number right now. But it was respectful dance number of all the history of the Irish jig and what's going on. So I didn't look at it as like, oh, God, what are they doing? I actually looked at it as respect, you know, because that's how much the roots were in it. And I was like, oh, okay, that was an interesting perspective of that. I didn't think Ryan Coogler would even like go deep dive into that. So I love that history kind of telling lesson of how, again, music coming all together. Kind of like the barn is burned down now, and they're all dancing amongst the fire and stuff like that together. So it was very interesting. I mean, it becomes almost a musical for 2.2 seconds, and you're like, what are we doing? But I'm like, oh, okay, I'm still going for the ride. So I love that he was able to take us on this kind of voyage with him, you know, and you didn't want to jump off. You're like, okay, I'm with you. I trust you now. You're taking me some places. I'm going to still bring us home now, you know, and kind of do that. And you're wondering what's going to happen now because everything just goes crazy up in there. You're waiting for the sun to come up. So what's going to happen first with that? Is the sun going to come up, or is everybody going to die before the sun comes up? And then knowing how many characters are actually going to survive. Because when we see the beginning of the movie, we see Preacher Boy walk into the church, and he's scratched up, and then the movie begins. And his uncle, who took care of him because his dad passed away, he told him, hey, that guitar is only going to get you in trouble. That's the devil's music. And that was a big thing back in the day. You remember that movie with Ralph Macchio? It was called Crossroads, and it was about the blues. You know,
I don't recall.
Anyway, it was down in the South, and that was like a big legend story that when you found blues players down in the South that could really play, they like sold themselves to the devil. And that's why they can play like that. They had that talent. And that was a big mess. So it was a crazy movie back in the day. In 1986, it's called Crossroads. And Ralph Macchio played the original Karate Kid. He's a younger kid, and he's guided by a black man. And he's trying to find this song. And he's like, hey, you can have it, but you got to sell your soul. And so dealing about that in the blues back in the day. So I love this is heavily blues influence. It's a little bit of everything of our childhood, and I love seeing interviews with Ryan Coogler. He's talking about that. His uncle passed away. He didn't really get to spend time with him because he was working on a movie, and he's like, this is a homage to him and what he meant to him and just how much the blues meant to him as well. And it kind of reminded me of my uncle who passed away a couple of years ago during COVID, and like, you know, he was a Vietnam vet. He always used to play jazz and then play the piano, like just didn't make sense the way he plays, like dang, 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 and then but he plays jazz and chill. And so that really gave me those goosebumps and memories of just like, you know, those people in our lives that we don't think how much they played a part of like your growth. But you're like, oh, you think back, oh man, yeah, I remember that. And why did I remember that? You know, but that reminds me of them at all times, you know? So I really love that kind of balance there throughout the film. Just giving respect to a lot of people and also our past ancestors who have given all this talent, whether it be music or just hard work, getting us out of here, you know, fighting to live another day. So you really see this in this film. Anything you want to add there?
No, I think you're good. I do think I loved, you know, how music was a central character in the film. Yeah, let's leave it there. But I loved it. I loved it. What?
What am I doing here? You're killing me, Ralph. Killing me.
I'm just trying to be.
Trying to be PC. All right. And then Delroy Lindo, I mentioned him a couple of times, but you know he plays Delta Slim. They pick him up from a train station, and that was an interesting altercation in the beginning the conversations, how they used to talk back then. They really nailed that scene. I really love that scene. That was a great thing, just the banter back and forth. But then they convinced him to come aboard and come perform. And Delroy, he's been a pioneer, actor forever. He's been doing it back in, working back in the days. He turned out, I found out in an interview that he turned down Do the Right Thing. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah. He wanted him to, there was a scene he wanted, but he didn't want it. And then he got a chance to work with Spike again, but then he almost priced himself out of it. So it was really, in Malcolm X, he went back and forth, but he was like, hey, I don't like the price for that. So they were going to get another brother. They were actually going to get Sidney Poitier to play the guy that he does. Yeah, Malcolm. It was crazy. And then Sidney was working on a movie, so he got it back, but it was the same pay, and he didn't understand it at the time. He was like, no, I want to get paid. It's like, sometimes you just have to do the work just to do the work. And so I love that he gave the personal stories like that. So the interviews for this right now are amazing because there's guys like really opening up about, how it's been in the industry. Ryan Coogler is really opening about, his family aspect. Omar Ben Miller has been acting since, he's such a big guy, but he's actually a little guy. And I love him play Cornbread. He's so great on screen because he's a gentle giant. And, oh, man, I don't want to give that away, but he had a really, stellar performance. You want to see somebody, really shocks you. He was really good because he was so believable in every scene he was in. You really want to just oh my God, this guy, and this and that. Again, I don't want to give it that all away, but he really had a great. Everybody was good, but there's some really performances that really stand out on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought his character brought a lot of that fun, funny, light energy to the film because it was kind of heavy. So he brought a good portion of that to it. So I really did enjoy
the comic relief. Yeah, he was the comic relief a little bit. Yeah, and then like I said, at the end of the movie, we have the breakdown of what's going to happen, right? Who's going to survive overnight? Now, because Grace Chow got upset, she said she invited everybody in. And now they're going to fight it out. I'm like, what are you doing? Everybody's like, what, girl, what? He's like, all right, I guess we're fighting. So everybody's got their locked up with their stakes, and they're going to try to kill as many vampires as they can, not knowing what's going to happen. And then they kind of go from there. And it's basically every man for themselves for a little bit. And then you have the one-on-one scenes later with the fight at the end with Remick, and it kind of goes down. So I love the balance of the film. There's also a little bit after Remick the next day. I don't want to give that away either. But there's, if you want to go over the Rob, you can do it.
I don't think you need to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
But this is another thing that I kind of had a small gripe. This is what I was mentioning earlier. Because it took so long to develop the characters, we got such a short, small window with the vampires. I just really wish we would have had a little bit more time of them fighting to try and make it till dawn. I really, really wanted that energy in the film because a lot of it was the heavy story building, but I think maybe we'll get that in some form of another part of the film if he makes a sequel or a prequel or whatever may come. But I really did want a little bit more time with the fight between survival and the vampires that have been turned. So I would have loved to have a little bit more of that, but
there was scenes all over, Rob. There was stuff.
We got 20, 30 minutes of it. It was in and out.
I don't need any more than that.
Yeah, we do.
Because then it becomes an action movie.
I wanted to see it.
You wanted more action.
I wanted a little bit more of them battling to survive. Yeah.
You wanted more action.
But it's like everybody's alive, everybody's dead. It happened so fast. I just wanted it to be. I just wanted a little more.
The only thing I could say is I was disappointed it was over one day, and that's when I was like, really, one day we're gonna do it? And then that was my brain the whole time. Like, are you really gonna try to do a training day with all this stuff right now? No, seriously, my first 10 minutes I was like, mofo, you really gonna try to do a training day? That's the only thing about training day. If any knock is like, really, that all happened in one day? You know what I'm saying? One day that all happened. I was like, that's a crazy day.
But I think he gave people a little bit more too with the closing scene with the KKK coming to the barn. So we got a little bit more action after after the ending of the vampire portion of the film. So we got to see a little bit more. And that one I think resonated too with the audience, because a lot of people were like, they love to see, an empowered Black person who had, was fighting for the thing that they had earned, even though they earned it by stealing. But, as they should have stolen it, because everything else was stolen from us. So who cares? But yeah, I do love that we got to see that portion of it. But yes.
Yes. There's a happy ending for Black folks at the end.
Yes.
Stay around. Everybody's happy. Yes. Got more people. Get them. Yes. Shoot them again. Yes. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's I really love this film. I recommend it to everybody. I would say do your due diligence. Look up some history, man. There's some deep stuff in this film that you missed, and I definitely want to see it again, because I know there's stuff I'm missing even more. I've been watching. I don't want to watch too much because I want to see the second time there's other stuff I see. Then kind of get it all in, but really an enjoyable film.
I'm definitely going back to see it again. I was gonna try again this weekend, but it's completely sold out everywhere again.
Oh wow!
Which I absolutely love. So I'll probably go again next weekend. But I'm definitely excited to see it again. I want to put fresh eyes on it. I love that it's become like a cult classic already.
Yeah,
people are like super invested in it. There's so many podcasts and conversations about the film, and I think that's what good filmmaking does, is it creates conversations, it creates community. So I think this film did exactly what it's supposed to do. So kudos to Ryan Coogler and everybody else who's a part of this. So super excited to see where it continues to go.
Yeah, he challenged us to think, instead of let's just watch a film. So, but you have both, right? For people that don't want to think, you can just watch a vampire movie. For people that do want to deep dive into it, there's something for you there, So that's the beauty of this film. Ryan, great guy. Did we get an interview? Anybody get an interview for this?
Oh.
What are we doing? What are we doing here, Black Phil? What are we doing?
No interviews.
Look, Coco had an interview. All right. Just kidding. Get him next time, I guess.
I hope so. We'll see.
All right. Anyway, thank you for your time tonight on this Friday. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate it. Thank you, Rob, for your time. Don't kill your dogs. Give them love. Give her love.
Oh, never. I love my little baby.
Yeah.
She's driving me nuts.
Drives me crazy. I can't believe you never saw Lost Boys.
I have seen Lost Boys. I just said I couldn't.
You didn't know what I was talking about?
I didn't know what you were trying to reference, but yes, I've seen it.
Anyway, okay. Oh, Rob, you want to give a review?
Oh, no.
No?
I'll just say 10 out of 10.
Yes. That's an asterisk 10 out of 10, ladies and gentlemen. That is an asterisk 10 out of 10. All right, Rob, thank you for your time. Appreciate you as usual. See you maybe next week. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you will, Ro. Yeah, you will. You will.
He's a busy guy. All right. Thank you guys again. This is Rewind with Ro and Rob Smith. Yeah.